Let me begin with something that may surprise you. Aging is not a fixed, pre-programmed process. For decades, we believed that aging was simply the gradual wear and tear of the body and brain, a slow, inevitable decline that begins sometime around middle age. But over the past 20 years, an explosion of research from fields like neuroscience, epigenetics, and behavioral science has dramatically rewritten that story. What scientists have uncovered is both empowering and deeply practical. Many aspects of aging are profoundly modifiable by your daily habits. In fact, one groundbreaking study published in Nature Communications in 2021 estimated that up to 80% of biological aging can be influenced by behavior, lifestyle, and environment, not just genetic. Researchers like Dr. David Sinclair at Harvard, Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn, who won the Nobel Prize for her work on telomeres, and many others have shown that the choices we make each day can literally impact how our cells age, how our brains maintain cognitive sharpness, and how our bodies stay strong, resilient, and vibrant. Here's the critical truth. Chronological age is simply the number of years you've been alive. Biological age is how old your cells and systems actually function. And the gap between those two numbers can be surprisingly large depending on how you live. If you're over 50, this becomes even more crucial. This is the decade when many people begin to notice changes in strength, flexibility, memory, mood, sleep, and energy. But these aren't simply normal signs of getting older. More often, they are signals from the body that certain systems, like mitochondrial function, neuroplasticity, hormone regulation, and inflammation control, need targeted support. What's happening inside your body and brain is deeply fascinating. For example, your mitochondria, the tiny engines in your cells, start to produce less energy. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and form new connections, begins to slow. Inflammation, if left unchecked, quietly accelerates damage to tissues and organs. Hormonal shifts affect muscle mass, mood stability, and cognitive sharpness. But here's the good news and the heart of today's conversation. There are highly effective, scientifically validated habits that can slow and in some cases even reverse aspects of biological aging. In today's episode, we'll break down 6 golden habits, powerful daily practices that directly target these core biological processes. These aren't vague recommendations or fads. They are based on hard neuroscience, cellular biology, and clinical research. And most importantly, they are highly actionable. We'll explore topics like the one type of exercise that powerfully rewires your brain while preserving your muscles, a nutritional strategy that activates cellular repair pathways, the surprising role of deliberate light exposure in regulating hormones that keep you young, and a simple yet profound breathing protocol that can lower inflammation and improve cognitive function. These tools are not about perfection or overnight transformation. They are about compounding small, science-backed actions that produce extraordinary long-term benefits. As Dr. Huberman often says, small behaviors applied consistently can shift the entire trajectory of your health span. So whether you're 50, 60, or 70, you're not too late. Your brain and body remain highly adaptive. The key is knowing where to intervene and how to begin. Let's dive into the first golden habit that helps keep you young, vibrant, and mentally sharp well beyond 50. Let's start with something that sits at the very center of staying young after 50, the brain's remarkable ability to rewire itself, what neuroscience calls neuroplasticity. For much of the 20th century, the scientific community believed that neuroplasticity was something exclusive to childhood. The thinking was simple. Young brains were malleable, while adult brains were more or less fixed. But that belief has been completely overturned by modern neuroscience. In fact, research by neuroscientists like Dr. Michael Merzenich, one of the pioneers of neuroplasticity, has demonstrated that the human brain retains a powerful capacity to change, adapt, and grow throughout life, even into the 60s, 70s, and beyond. What changes, however, is how we activate neuroplasticity as we age. Here's what the research shows. After 50, deliberate learning of new skills becomes one of the most powerful levers for keeping the brain young. You see, every time you engage in learning a novel skill, whether it's a new language, musical instrument, dance, or even complex motor task, you are stimulating multiple brain regions. The prefrontal cortex, which governs decision-making, the hippocampus, which manages memory formation, and the cerebellum, which coordinates movement and precision. These regions work together to lay down new neural pathways, strengthen synaptic connections, and promote the growth of new neurons, a process known as neurogenesis. For example, a study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, 2014, found that seniors who engaged in cognitively demanding skill acquisition, like digital photography and quilting, showed significant improvements in memory and executive function compared to control groups who performed more passive activities. But why does this matter so much for aging? Because many of the cognitive declines associated with aging, such as slower processing speed, memory lapses, or difficulty with multitasking, are largely tied to reductions in neuroplastic activity. By keeping neuroplasticity active, you're directly counteracting these declines. Now, here's the actionable part. The key to activating neuroplasticity after 50 is combining novelty with focused effort. Let me explain with a simple analogy. Think of your brain like a forest. The more you walk a certain path, the more defined it becomes. But if you never create new trails, large parts of the forest remain unexplored and overgrown. Novel learning creates those new pathways, keeping the entire forest vibrant and alive. A simple tool to apply is what I call the 90-day skill window. Every 90 days, commit to learning or improving one new skill. It can be as small as basic piano lessons, a new language app, or a new sport like pickleball or tai chi. Dedicate at least 20 to 30 minutes, 4 to 5 days a week, to this skill. Focus on challenging but achievable tasks, what neuroscientists call the optimal learning zone. This creates just enough difficulty to stimulate plasticity, but not so much frustration that you give up. You might be wondering, isn't it too late for me to learn something new? Here's where the science is empowering. Studies on brain-degraded neurotrophic factor, BDNF, often called miracle grow for the brain, show that learning stimulates BDNF production, which helps grow and maintain neurons. And yes, BDNF remains responsive even after 50. A 2012 study in the Journal of Neuroscience demonstrated that adults aged 60 plus who engage in sustained cognitive training showed measurable increases in BDNF levels and improved memory function. This means you're not too late. Your brain is still highly responsive if you give it the right stimulus. There's also a fascinating psychological benefit. Novel learning not only sharpens cognitive function, but also cultivates a growth mindset, which has been linked to higher life satisfaction, better emotional resilience, and lower rates of depression in older adults. In short, your brain is designed for growth. The more you challenge it, the younger it stays. So as we move into the next habit, remember, every new skill you take on isn't just a hobby, it's medicine for your brain. Let's now shift from the brain to something equally essential for aging well after 50, your cellular engines. The mitochondria are often called the powerhouses of your cells because they produce the vast majority of your body's energy in the form of ATP. But what many people don't realize is that mitochondrial function is one of the central drivers of how young or old you feel at any age. As we move beyond 50, mitochondrial efficiency naturally declines. This means our cells produce less energy, leading to fatigue, slower recovery, metabolic dysfunction, and even greater susceptibility to age diseases. But here's the empowering part. Mitochondria are highly responsive to specific types of physical activity. particularly Zone 2 cardiovascular training. Zone 2 refers to low to moderate intensity aerobic exercise, roughly 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. It's that sweet spot where you can carry on a conversation, but still feel like you're working. Think of a brisk walk, a light jog, steady cycling, or swimming at a comfortable pace. Now, why is Zone 2 so critical for aging? Here's what the research shows. Zone 2 training maximizes mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria, and enhances mitochondrial efficiency. A 2021 review published in Cell Metabolism explained how regular Zone 2 training activates a cellular pathway called PGC1 alpha, peroxisome proliferator activated receptor, gamma coactivator 1 alpha, which acts like a master switch for mitochondrial growth and function. In simple terms, the more mitochondria you have and the more efficient they are, the more energy your body and brain have access to, even as you age. Dr. Inigo San Millán, a world leader in mitochondrial science and coach for elite endurance athletes, has shown that even modest amounts of Zone 2 work can restore mitochondrial function, improve metabolic flexibility, and significantly reduce markers of insulin resistance and inflammation, two key drivers of biological aging. Let's make this actionable. Here's a simple Zone 2 protocol to start with. 30 to 45 minutes of Zone 2 cardio 4 to 5 times per week. Use the talk test to guide your effort. You should be able to speak in full sentences but still feel lightly challenged. If you prefer more precision, you can estimate your target heart rate by subtracting your age from 220, then multiplying by 60 to 70%. Many people ask, is walking enough? If you walk briskly enough to elevate your heart rate into Zone 2, absolutely, but consistency is key. The magic lies not in occasional bursts of high intensity, but in sustained, regular, moderate aerobic work that steadily feeds your mitochondria the stimulus they need to grow. There's also an important neuroprotective component. Studies in the Journal of Gerontology 2017 have shown that Zone 2 cardio improves cerebral blood flow, enhances hippocampal volume, critical for memory, and reduces the risk of neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And there's one more subtle but powerful benefit: mood regulation. Zone 2 cardio stimulates the release of endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin, neurotransmitters that directly influence mood stability, motivation, and resilience. In fact, multiple studies now suggest that regular, moderate intensity cardio can be as effective as antidepressant medication for some individuals dealing with mild to moderate depression. If this insight is helping you, consider subscribing. There's much more science-backed content like this that can empower your journey toward a longer, healthier life. In sum, if neuroplasticity keeps your brain young, Zone 2 keeps your cellular energy systems vibrant. And together, they form a potent 1-2 punch against biological aging. As we move forward, we'll discuss how when you eat, not just what you eat, plays a critical role in cellular repair and longevity. We've covered how to keep your brain and mitochondria young. Now let's turn to a crucial cellular process that acts like internal housekeeping for your body: autophagy. Autophagy comes from the Greek words auto, phagy, eating. Essentially, it's your body's way of cleaning out damaged cells, removing dysfunctional proteins, and recycling cellular components to keep you functioning optimally. This process becomes increasingly important after 50 as the body accumulates more cellular debris and metabolic waste that can contribute to inflammation, metabolic disorders, and even cancer if left unchecked. The fascinating part is that autophagy doesn't require a drug or supplement. It can be powerfully activated through a simple behavior: time-restricted eating, TRE. Time-restricted eating is a form of intermittent fasting where you limit your daily eating window, typically to 8 to 10 hours, and fast for the remaining 14 to 16 hours. Unlike prolonged fasting, TRE is easier to sustain long-term and doesn't require significant caloric restriction. making it highly accessible for most people. Here's what the research shows. A landmark study published in Cell Metabolism 2018 by Dr. Sachidananda Panda's lab at the Salk Institute found that adults practicing TRE experienced improvements in glucose regulation, lipid profiles, blood pressure, and markers of inflammation, all without changing what they ate. This suggests that when you eat may be just as important as what you eat, especially for healthy aging. But why does TRE work so well for those over 50? As we age, insulin sensitivity tends to decline, making it harder for the body to regulate blood sugar and store fat appropriately. TRE helps restore insulin sensitivity by giving the body extended periods to process glucose and burn fat stores. More importantly, the fasting window triggers autophagy, clearing out damaged mitochondria and misfolded proteins that contribute to cellular aging. Let's use a simple analogy. Imagine your body is like a large office building. If people are constantly working around the clock, there's never time for the cleaning crew to come in. But when the office is closed for several hours, the cleaning crew can work efficiently, restoring order before the next workday begins. That's what autophagy does for your cells during fasting. Now, here's a simple science-backed protocol to begin with, the 14/10 method. Start with a 14-hour fast and a 10-hour eating window, for example, eating between 8 o'clock IAM and 6 o'clock PM. Once your body adjusts, you can optionally progress to a 16/8 window if it feels sustainable. Stay hydrated during the fasting window with water, black coffee, or herbal tea without sweeteners. Avoid highly processed foods during your eating window to maximize the benefits of autophagy. A 2020 review in the New England Journal of Medicine by Dr. Rafael De Cabo and Dr. Mark Manson emphasized that time-restricted eating not only improves metabolic markers, but also reduces oxidative stress, enhances cognitive function, and may lower the risk of neurodegenerative diseases, making it a comprehensive anti-aging strategy. You may wonder, will I lose muscle or feel weak during fasting? When implemented correctly and paired with adequate protein intake, which we'll cover shortly, TRE actually helps preserve lean muscle mass while improving metabolic health. In fact, fasting may enhance growth hormone secretion, which supports muscle maintenance and fat metabolism, especially important after 50. There's also a psychological benefit. TRE often improves appetite regulation and reduces late-night cravings, leading to better sleep and more consistent energy levels throughout the day. Think of time-restricted eating not as a diet, but as a daily rhythm that aligns with your body's natural repair cycles. As we move to the next habit, we'll look at something equally powerful that influences nearly every hormone and system in your body, but that most people overlook: strategic light exposure. Most people know that sleep is critical for healthy aging, but what often goes unrecognized is that light is the master control switch that governs nearly every system tied to aging, including sleep, hormone balance, mood, metabolism, and even immune function. The science is clear. Your body is governed by a 24-hour biological rhythm known as the circadian clock. And light, particularly natural sunlight, is the most powerful regulator of this clock. Research led by Dr. Sachin Panda at the Salk Institute has shown that the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, the central pacemaker of the circadian system, is directly wired to cells in the retina that detect light. When light enters the eyes in the morning, it sends a powerful signal to the SCN that it's time to start the biological day. Increase cortisol for alertness, suppress melatonin to wake up, and initiate countless downstream processes that regulate energy, metabolism, and cellular repair. Here's where this becomes critical. After 50, as we age, circadian rhythm amplitude tends to weaken. The peaks and valleys of hormone release, body temperature, and gene expression become more blunted, leading to fragmented sleep, fatigue, mood instability, and increased risk of chronic disease. However, targeted light exposure can strengthen and restore circadian rhythm precision. And unlike many interventions, this one is simple, free, and profoundly effective when done correctly. Let's start with morning light exposure, the single most powerful habit you can adopt to anchor your circadian clock. Get outside within 30 to 60 minutes of waking. Expose your eyes to natural outdoor light for 5 to 10 minutes on sunny days, or 15 to 20 minutes on cloudy days. Avoid looking directly at the sun, but allow natural light to enter your eyes without sunglasses or windows blocking it. Why is this so effective? Because morning light triggers a strong cortisol pulse at the right time, aligning your brain and body for optimal energy, mood, and cognitive sharpness throughout the day. This cortisol peak also sets the timer for your body's evening melatonin release, helping you fall asleep more easily 14 to 16 hours later. A 2019 study published in Nature Reviews Endocrinology emphasized that strong morning light exposure improves sleep efficiency, mood, metabolic regulation, and even supports healthier blood pressure patterns, all highly relevant for longevity after 50. But morning light is only part of the equation. You also want to manage evening light exposure to prevent circadian disruption. Dim indoor lights after sunset. Avoid bright overhead lighting and blue-rich screens for at least 1 to 2 hours before bed. Use warm colored lights or amber glasses to minimize blue light exposure, which suppresses melatonin. Why is this important? Because excessive artificial light in the evening delays melatonin secretion, fragments sleep architecture, and disrupts growth hormone release, all of which impair cellular repair and accelerate biological aging. Here's a simple way to think about light hygiene: bright days, dim nights. You might wonder, what about artificial light therapy? For those unable to access natural sunlight in the morning due to geography or schedule, high-quality light therapy lamps, 10,000 lux, can be a helpful substitute. But natural outdoor light remains superior because of its broad spectrum wavelength and biological synchrony. If you're finding this level of science-backed detail valuable, consider subscribing. I'm committed to delivering practical neuroscience tools you can apply every day to optimize your health and longevity. In short, light is not just something you see, it's information for your brain. Information that governs everything from hormones to gene expression. As we move into the next golden habit, we'll shift from circadian rhythm to the vital role of preserving muscle mass through protein intake and resistance training, a true cornerstone of staying young after 50. When people think of aging, they often imagine wrinkles, gray hair, or declining energy. But one of the most significant and silent drivers of biological aging is the gradual loss of skeletal muscle mass. This process is called sarcopenia, and it often begins subtly in the 5th decade of life. Research published in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle 2010 estimates that adults lose 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade after age 30, with the rate accelerating after 60. But here's the empowering part: sarcopenia is not inevitable, and muscle loss can not only be halted, but even reversed well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond. The key drivers are 2 behaviors: adequate protein intake and resistance training. Let's start with protein. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at using dietary protein to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, a phenomenon known as anabolic resistance. This means that older adults often require more protein per meal to achieve the same muscle-building response seen in younger individuals. A widely accepted target, supported by research from Dr. Stuart Phillips and colleagues at McMaster University, is approximately 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for adults over 50 who want to preserve or build muscle mass. That's significantly higher than the outdated recommended dietary allowance, RDA, of 0.8 g/kg, which is likely insufficient for aging populations. To make this practical, if you weigh 70 kg, about 154 pounds, your daily protein intake should be between 84 to 100 grams. Spread protein intake across 3 to 4 meals to optimize muscle protein synthesis. Prioritize high-quality protein sources, eggs, lean poultry, fish, dairy, legumes, and for some, protein supplements like whey or plant-based powders can be useful. Next comes resistance training, the most potent non-pharmaceutical tool we have to stimulate muscle growth and preserve function with age. Unlike purely aerobic exercise, resistance training provides mechanical tension that signals muscle fibers to grow and strengthen. This activates pathways like mTOR, mammalian target of rapamycin, which directly govern muscle protein synthesis and cellular repair. A 2019 meta-analysis in sports medicine concluded that resistance training significantly improves muscle mass, strength, and functional capacity, even in adults well into their ADS. Remarkably, many of these benefits occur within just 12 to 16 weeks of consistent training. Here's a simple starter protocol. Frequency: 2 to 3 full body sessions per week. Exercises focus on compound movements, squats, deadlifts, push-ups, rows, and presses, which engage multiple muscle groups. Reps and sets: 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions per exercise. Progressive overload: gradually increase resistance as your strength improves. If you're new to resistance training or have pre-existing joint issues, working with a qualified trainer or physical therapist can ensure proper technique and safety. Even body weight exercises, resistance bands, or light dumbbells can produce excellent results when done consistently. But beyond aesthetics or strength alone, preserving muscle mass is directly tied to improved insulin sensitivity, reduced risk of falls and fractures, enhanced cognitive function due to myokines, proteins released during muscle contraction that support brain health, lowered systemic inflammation. In short, muscle is metabolic currency. The more you have, the more resilient and youthful your entire physiology becomes. Many people ask, am I too old to start? The answer, strongly supported by research, is no. In fact, the earlier you start, the better, but starting at any point delivers meaningful benefits. As we move into the final golden habit, we'll explore a practice that helps regulate stress, optimize your nervous system, and even support longevity at the cellular level, controlled breathing protocols. There's one more dimension to staying young after 50 that often gets overlooked, yet it's fundamental to everything we've discussed so far: the regulation of your autonomic nervous system. At the core of your autonomic nervous system are two branches: the sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response, which primes you for action, stress, and high alert. The parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest response, which supports relaxation, recovery, and healing. Throughout the day, your body naturally oscillates between these two states. However, chronic stress, which becomes more common with aging due to health concerns, life changes, and accumulated responsibilities, often leads to sympathetic dominance, keeping your body in a prolonged state of physiological arousal. Over time, this elevates inflammation, impairs sleep, accelerates biological aging, and contributes to a host of chronic diseases. The empowering insight is that you have direct access to modulate your nervous system, and one of the most scientifically validated tools to do this is controlled breathing. Unlike many biological systems, breathing is both involuntary and voluntary. This unique characteristic gives you a handle, a lever, to directly influence your state in real time. What's happening in your brain when you engage in controlled breathing is a recalibration of brainstem nuclei, like the locus ceruleus, which governs alertness and arousal, and the vagus nerve, which facilitates parasympathetic activation. One breathing protocol that has been extensively studied is physiological sighing, a natural double inhale followed by a long exhale. Research led by me and Dr. David Spiegel at Stanford University published in Cell Reports Medicine 2023, showed that just 5 minutes of this breathing pattern daily produced significant reductions in baseline anxiety and improved autonomic balance. Here's how to practice the physiological sigh. Take a deep inhale through your nose. At the peak of that inhale, take a second, smaller, quick inhale to fully inflate the lungs, then exhale slowly and completely through your mouth. Repeat for 5 to 10 cycles, or as needed throughout the day. This simple pattern offloads carbon dioxide, reduces sympathetic tone, and activates the vagus nerve, creating a rapid calming effect. Over time, regular practice enhances your system's heart rate variability, a key biomarker of resilience and longevity. Another powerful protocol for daily stress modulation is box breathing, often used by elite military personnel and athletes to stabilize focus and reduce performance anxiety. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, repeat for 5-10 minutes. Studies published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience 2017 demonstrate that structured breath work like box breathing can reduce cortisol, improve sleep quality, and even enhance cognitive function by stabilizing prefrontal cortex activity. In essence, breath control is brain control. It allows you to shift your internal state, not through willpower, but through biology. You may wonder, is there an ideal time to do breath work? For most people, brief sessions in the morning and/or before bed work well to bookend the day. But these tools can also be deployed situationally during moments of stress, frustration, or anxiety to quickly recenter. And just like the previous habits we've explored, consistency compounds benefits. Daily practice strengthens your vagal tone, lowers systemic inflammation, improves immune regulation, and supports healthy emotional processing, all of which contribute to extending both lifespan and health span. If you've found value in these science-backed tools so far, I invite you again to subscribe. We're building a community grounded in actionable neuroscience and practical strategies for a better, longer life. Now that we've covered all 6 golden habits, let's pull everything together with a powerful conclusion and challenge you can act on starting today. As we've seen throughout this exploration, healthy aging isn't the result of any one miracle cure or single breakthrough discovery. Instead, it's the outcome of consistently applying small, powerful, science-backed behaviors that work with, not against, your body's natural biology. Let's briefly recap the 6 golden habits that can help you stay young, vibrant, and fully engaged in life after 50. First, we discussed how daily neuroplasticity training through cognitive challenges and new learning helps maintain brain volume, synaptic connections, and mental agility well into older age. Then we explore the role of Zone 2 cardio, where sustained, moderate intensity aerobic exercise fuels mitochondrial health, your cellular engines, increasing your energy, metabolic flexibility, and longevity at the most fundamental level. Next, we turn to time-restricted eating, which leverages your body's innate autophagy pathways to clear cellular debris, reduce inflammation, and enhance metabolic health simply by aligning your eating window with your circadian rhythm. We examined the power of strategic light exposure, where morning sunlight and dim evenings synchronize your circadian clock, optimize hormone release, and improve both sleep quality and overall system regulation. Then, we covered the essential need to preserve muscle mass through protein intake and resistance training, not only for strength and mobility, but as a buffer against metabolic disease, cognitive decline, and frailty. Finally, we learned how controlled breathing protocols offer a direct lever to calm the nervous system, lower chronic stress, and promote the kind of emotional and physiological balance that supports both brain and body health across decades. When combined, these 6 habits don't just slow aging, they actively build resilience at the cellular, hormonal, and neurological levels. Here's the key mindset shift. Healthy aging isn't about avoiding decline. It's about continuously signaling your biology that you are still adapting, still growing, and still fully engaged in life. And none of these protocols require extreme diets, dangerous supplements, or unrealistic time commitments. Instead, they ask for something far more powerful: consistent, daily respect for the systems that keep you alive. If you take just one action today, I encourage you to choose a single protocol from these 6 golden habits, whichever one feels most accessible, and begin applying it this week. Watch how your body responds. Then layer in others over time. You are not at the mercy of your age. You are, in fact, influencing how your genes express themselves every single day through your behaviors. If you've found value in today's deep dive, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your own experiences in the comments. Not only does it help grow this science-based community, but it also allows us to continue exploring more actionable tools together. Thank you for investing your time and focus here today. Your brain, your body, and your future self will thank you.